Welcome back to another episode of the Ty Brady Way. We are at episode 134. And wow, is it fun. Today I want to talk a moment about habits, rituals, and routines. So how do you make something a habit, right? First of all, I think you need to commit to do it. So I'm going to give you just a couple little habits that I do, and that's something that started at a very young age. And the first habit is that my mom used to always say, Ty, get up, you get dressed, you get ready for the day. I look at kids today, and sometimes I'm like, they go to school in pajamas, it seems like, or they go to work, and with a hat. I mean, they're just not dressed, right? And so the first thing I want to say is that listen to your mom. So mine is I listen to my mom. My mom used to always say, get up, get dressed for the day. I don't care if you go back to bed. I don't care if you go and watch TV, but that is the first thing you do. Oh, next to making your bed. And you know what? I don't think I've missed making my bed in years. And, my wife's funny because she's like, I don't make the bed. Ty does. And I will make the bed every single morning next to getting dressed for the day. Those are little habits that I start my day with. The next thing is that, the universe is, I think everybody should have a relationship with God or the universe or a higher power, whatever they do, right? Take the time to give thanks to that universe, that God, or that whatever in the morning. And if it's 10 or 15 minutes, just to know that you're part of something greater. But as you do those things, those habits, and a habit takes a lot of time. I mean, there's books on this. They say it takes 10,000 hours to change a bad habit into a good habit. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's as you continue to do those things over and over and over, then it becomes a routine. And then from the routine, it becomes a ritual, right? So it's stages, because if you're working out, a lot of people talk about the new year, I'm going to work out, I'm going to do these things. A lot of people will do it for 30 days, and guess what? They're like, oh, this is hard. My body aches. I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. All the doubt starts sinking in. Yeah, everybody has doubt, but you got to push through that. So keep with the habit. Keep getting up at the same time. Do it anyway. There's days that I don't like making my bed, and I'm like, oh, I got to make my bed. Yeah, everybody does. But as you do it, the habit becomes the ritual, and then the routine kicks in, right? So the ritual is once the habit is made and it's easy to make your bed. Now I'm in the phase where it's just a ritual. It's a routine, meaning I make my bed, I get up. It's just what I do. I don't even think about it. How many of you have driven a car? It's the same way driving a car. You drive to work. You're like autopilot. You just take the same way every morning. I know that I was taking my kids to school last year. I kept seeing the same car about the same time, turn out the same way. And I could see it every morning because this lady had these pink eyelashes on the front of her car. And me and my kids joked about it because we're like, listen, we leave the house at 8:15. That's the system that we've employed. And then we see the same people, at the same time, and the same traffic patterns, right? And then the habit is now the ritual or the routine. And then the routine becomes that ritual. So then when you don't feel like it, it's autopilot. When you don't feel like going to the gym, guess what? Your body's already used to getting up at 5 a.m. So what are you going to do? Try and go back to sleep and fight sleeping for another hour, or just get up and go do the work. So it takes time to build those things. But with all of those things, your habits, your rituals and routines, I think you need to have a game plan, meaning what are you going to do? So what time are you going to get up? What are the things you're going to do? So me, I get up, I make my bed. I get up, I get dressed. I do my meditation, right? What are those? What is the pattern, or what is the outline or the game plan to do those things so that the ritual and the routine kicks in as autopilot? Because that's where you want it to get to. You want it to be autopilot, because then you don't have the doubt. Then you're like, if you're making phone calls every day, like I did in the insurance industry, I knew Wednesday at 5 o'clock, I was calling for 3 hours. And man, oh man, I would sit there and kick and scream, and I'd make that first dial, and guess what? Then the routine and the ritual kicked in, and then it became autopilot, and then all the doubt went away. But then over time, I was just like, okay, it's just what I did. I didn't even think about it. If it was, I needed to make those calls, because I knew if I made those calls, I'd be able to set appointments. And if I set appointments, I was able to close and make sales and move forward. Know that you're not alone when you don't want to do it. I mean that because there's the doubt kicks in. I promise you. And you've got 10,000 hours. Think about that. Divide that. People typically work a 40, 60-hour week. That's a lot of weeks it's going to take to get 10,000 hours to break that habit, especially if it's a bad habit. If it's, you sit down on the couch and you eat a bag of potato chips. I don't know. A lot of people talk about fitness, right? If that's what you're trying to change, well, then you better interrupt by not having one, chips in the house. Number two is when you sit down on the couch, you've got to substitute with something else. Usually I would say water. Water's a good thing. Water's not going to hurt you. But then, for me, I'm really antsy. And back in the day when I went to school, I think they diagnosed ADHD. They could probably medicate me and, calm me down. But I don't think that's good. And for me, I am who I am because of where I grew up in my environment, right? And my mom taught me early that habits were important. The other habit that my mom taught me was work. My punishment, if I got in trouble, the discipline was work. And I did not like it, but I appreciate my mom for disciplining me because I like to discipline my kids by work. And there's no substitution for hard work. It does so much for you mentally, physically. It helps build you and builds character. There's things, I would pull weeds for days just to try to get ungrounded so I could go play with my friends. I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. We won't talk about a lot of those things, but I got in a lot of trouble. But my mom was always about, here's the consequences of your decision. And as soon as you accomplish this, then you can be ungrounded. What a habit is and how to change a habit. The routine. The routine is the game plan. It is the schedule. It is what the path that you're going to follow. If you're going to get up at 5 a.m., you're going to make your bed, you're going to get dressed, you're going to make phone calls. You are going to do those things religiously. What I mean is when you don't want to do it, you do it anyway. But write it down. Put it in your schedule that you're going to do those things because you need to do that because it creates discipline. Commit to yourself that you're going to be disciplined enough to do it. And when you see it in your phone, if you want to send a reminder that says, okay, I'm going to start making calls in 10 minutes, then you better be ready. Get your drink of water, go to the bathroom, do whatever you got to do to get ready and commit to do it. Make sure you have everything in place. That game plan is the ritual. You're going to do it. The routine. That is the routine. You're going to drive to work. You're going to do those things. You're just going to ingrain. You're going to entrench. You're going to do it anyway. And then as over time, it becomes the ritual. It becomes easy. It doesn't become hard. It becomes, okay, you just do it. It becomes a part of you. It's part of what you do. It's how you operate. It's, if for me, I got to do my podcast every week. It's on a schedule. You got to do that. It's what you do. And I know that I have to prepare. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to cover? How can I inspire people? How can I get people to want to do better, be better? How can I be an influence to help people and bring better into their life? My wife has a hashtag, be the good. What can you do to be the good? And she had a 52-week challenge, and it was cool to watch. She says, pay it forward, buy somebody's coffee in line, or smile at somebody. Small acts of kindness. You wouldn't think that we'd have to talk about this in today's society, but there's a lot of people that need your smile. They need you, and a lot of people that like you, and I'm always touched to hear stories from people that follow me and what they say and what they hear, and people that I wouldn't even think were following me or even heard. They're like, I know you had hard times. And they're like, I can relate. And it's just touching. Oh, it's making me chills right now. But it's touching to me to hear all of those stories. But it didn't come easy. It was from the habits at an early age. It was the commitments that I made, the habits. It was the ritual, the routines that I put in place, that I was going to do them at all cost. And then the rituals came into play. One of the rituals that my mom did And I think y'all might even know she passed away a few years ago. And her ritual was every third Sunday, we were going to do birthdays, and we were going to celebrate the kids that were 18 and younger with all the nieces and nephews that it's their birthday. And that's something we do to this day. That's that ritual that is there. And it's so rewarding that that's something my mom did, and I can carry that on to my kids, and my kids look forward to it. They get to see all their cousins. They get presents. They get to eat cake. It's not it's a couple hours, I mean, and you may think, okay, what rituals did my family have that your mom or your dad put in place, and what that brought to you and your family, and how rewarding that is. Know that habits, rituals, and routines are important. They all interchange with each other, and you got to start somewhere. If you want to change a bad habit, know that it's going to take time. Know that you have to make a commitment. Talk to somebody. If you're struggling with something, talk to somebody. They've probably been there or know somebody who has. You're not alone. I mean, to think that no one's ever tried to lose weight, right? You kidding me? There's tons of people like that, or trying to change a job, or they're struggling in a marriage. Talk to somebody. There's people willing to help, people willing to give you their insight, and be that person of change. As always, share, like, and subscribe.